Let's start with the big win last night. Setting a club record in the process, you must be pretty happy with how things went at Solihull.
Yeah, very happy with the breaking the record. I think is a massive achievement, and of course the result was fantastic. It was a patchy performance, not our best by any stretch of the imagination, but overall, of course, we're delighted to get the point.
Did you have to see a different side to not taking that second up to get that win? Do you feel?
Yeah, I think so, and probably a different side the players saw of me as well a little bit, but that's a reflection of how good they've been. But I felt like there was something missing in the performance in the first 45 minutes, and I think we rectified it to some extent in the second half, but still was not a great performance. But of course, the most pleasing thing was the spirit of the players and the willingness to continue to try so hard, even though plenty of things were not working for us.
There's a lot about the mutual respect that you and the players have for each other. The fact that when things aren't going well, you can tell them about it, and they respond almost immediately.
Yeah, I hope so. I try to tell them the truth when if we win, and sometimes we win and we didn't play well, and sometimes when we didn't win, but we played well, and I need to be honest and tell them, and hopefully over a period of time, they trust when I tell them these things are wrong and it's not good enough, that they know that it's coming from a good place. And yeah, I think we have no problem in that way.
Yeah, there seems to be that really that good understanding between management and players, and that's been there since day one.
Yeah, I hope so, and it's something that you have to work at continuously. You have to try to be honest with each other, and as the players, they need to be honest if they're giving everything, and as a coach, we need to be honest as to not be too affected by the result of the game, and not to judge unfairly on the emotion of not winning, for example. But no, we have to continue to work at that all the time, every day.
Back to the record, 20 unbeaten in the league. I mean, that is some going. How's the side kept that momentum going for so long?
I think because they really apply themselves, and that's the key. They apply themselves very well on the whole, like I say, day in, day out pretty much, and that's why when we get a below par performance, it's a bit of a surprise to us. But that's what they've managed to do, is to maintain high standards throughout, and that's their reward, is that they've gone 20 games without a defeat.
I spoke to Conor Rawlinson a couple of moments ago. He talked about the repetitiveness of training in a good way, and how it sort of drilled into the players to maintain those high standards and that high intensity. Would you agree?
Yeah, I put the players up against each other. In no uncertain terms, they understand that they're competing against each other, and that's a difficult balance for players to strike, to be able to be teammates but also compete against each other. I think that the team has changed regularly. Players come in and out of the lineup. We know that there are certain players that are extremely robust, and they manage to retain a very high level of performance consistently, and they play a lot of minutes. We know that, but so many players come into the team and out of the team, but they respect each other, and they understand that they have to show up well every week in training to be considered to be in the lineup, and that's a healthy thing, and it takes managing from the players, and it takes maturity, but they've done that very, very well.
Yeah, it says a lot about the character of the players, doesn't it? That they're all on the same boat, and they're all sort of pushing for each other, whether they're in or out the team.
I think so, and that's what I'm asking of them, is that they respect one another, and they don't show a bad attitude and sulk if they're not in the starting lineup. And this type of behaviours that many people have experienced at football clubs, we have to guard against that. It's very difficult, very challenging, and it demands the players to be mature and be honest with themselves. And by and large, we managed to do that, and the players have been really a credit.
It's been a couple of weeks since there was that little break in the over the Christmas period where games were being called off, but frozen pitches and what have you. Has it taken a couple of games like the Halifax game and the Solihull game to sort of get knocked back into the groove, as it were, and then get back to winning ways and start to get those things right again?
I felt like the Halifax game we gave a very, very good account of ourselves, and I was thoroughly pleased with that performance. I thought it was excellent. Because we navigated through 90 minutes of football without really too much trouble in our box, even though the opposition had a good game plan and had threats and that, but the concentration, the intensity was very good. I felt like was not so much there with the Solihull game. However, the opposition were very well prepared, had a good game plan, and they do have some very difficult players to play against, but I felt like we let ourselves down. So whether the break is catching up, with us and whatever, but ultimately we managed to find enough resources within the group to get over the line.
Torquay on Saturday, they seem to have turned the corner of late, unbeaten in the last four. How's preparation going for that one?
Another extremely tough game, very, very tough and tough place to go. And when you have a manager of the quality of Gary Johnson, the team are never going to be soft, and they're never going to lay down, and they're always going to come up with a new plan. And if they're in a sticky problem, they'll work their way out, because he's got an incredible proven track record, and he's a top manager. So we understand how difficult it's going to be, and we have to now recover well. Long travel, and we have to arrive there with energy and be ready for a fight.
For sure. After the result last night, my colleague Charlie spoke to Ruben Rodriguez after his two penalties. He indicated that there might be some contract talks with him going forward as his contract runs out in the summer. Is there any news that you can tell us on that?
No, I'm pleased to hear that. I didn't know that. He didn't mention anything to me along those lines, but of course, Ruben is a special player, and we all know that, and we understand his situation. We've respected his stance, and he's been at the club for a while, and is ambitious and so on. But I'm sure that we would happily sit down with Ruben and discuss a new contract. But yeah, he's a guy that can produce what he produced, and two big pressure moments to bring us level, and then to give us the victory was dispatched in a way that you'd expect a player of his quality to do that.
Yeah, you said also last night that there might be one or two new additions coming in. You're not restricted by the deadline day or the January transfer window. Is there any news that you can tell us on one or two players possibly coming in?
No, nothing that I can particularly share at the moment, because it would be irresponsible of me to do that at this stage. But I think we're very pleased with the group that we have at the moment. Of course, when the league is as competitive as it is, we have to make sure that we've got the right number of bodies and the right quality in the building. So we are always looking, and we're in contact with players and their agents.
Appreciate your time as always, Luke, and all the best for this weekend. Thank you.
Hi, Luke. I just wanted to start with yesterday. You made a substitution midway through the second half and introduced John Bostock into midfield. How influential was his presence in that midfield role? Because he seemed to, provide that bit of composure and calmness on the ball that you were perhaps lacking in the first 60 minutes of the game.
Absolutely. I think when we have Macaulay and we have Kedwin on the pitch together, I think that we sometimes the control is not the same when both of those guys are at the very top of the pitch. But I feel like we are very, very dangerous. Very dangerous. Both guys, you look at Kedwin is about to pull the trigger when he's brought down for the penalty, and Macca is inside the box because the line has got two very, very good strikers to deal with, and I think it gives us a different edge to us. But then we do sometimes struggle in the flow of the game, and I think when John came on, he showed his quality. And I think the thing that we have to understand with John is the conversation that myself and John had just prior to the the Maidstone game here, and we discussed the fact that I have to be mindful that John didn't play much football this season, and his pre-season programme was very disrupted, and he trained with us and for a couple of weeks, and then he was away from the club for a week or so, and I need to make sure that we don't lose him for a long period of time. And then of course the day before the Maidstone game he pulls out with a calf injury, and this is my concern. I have absolutely no concern over his quality and his character at all. He's a fantastic guy and a brilliant player, and I think that you're perfectly accurate with your assessment. I think he came on, he gave us a calmness, and his presence and his quality on the ball really helped stabilise the final stages of the game.
Another player's performance I wanted to highlight was Aaron the Man. It's become so pivotal for you given Toby's absence. How important is he to that system in the past couple of weeks?
I felt like in the second half of the game he went to a different level. His bravery to go and run at people. The pitch was quite heavy. He played a lot of minutes and must be feeling some fatigue. But that's what really I've been dying to see from Aaron more and more, because I believe in him so much. He has such quality. He's so explosive. He's such a good footballer. He's not like the type of guy that you see wide and running straight lines and not too great with the ball. And he's the opposite to that. He's explosive. He can run the outside of the pitch, and he can cross the ball fantastically. But you saw in the second half his ability to dribble inside the pitch and play in the small spaces and link with people. I thought he went to a different level, and I'm really impressed with him as a player and as a guy. I thought he was fantastic.
I know you spoke yesterday about coming out a little bit earlier for the second half. I just wanted to know, do you know what's said in the dressing room whilst you're out there? Do you have any influence on that, or do you just leave it to the more experienced players to talk amongst themselves and put things right?
I don't tend to be in for too long at half time or even after the game, before the game. We do a lot of work and we talk a lot in the week. We have plenty of get together meetings and we talk a lot on the training pitch. I give the information that I think is really important for me to deliver, and then I really trust the guys in the change rooms a lot. I really do, and I think sometimes it's nicer to not have the manager there. You can speak in a different way, not in any way that is disrespectful towards me. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about feeling like a freedom to express yourself more, to take the stage a bit more, and I want that environment, and I have total trust in the players, and I think that is a healthy for them, is to have the environment where they can express themselves more. I had very choice words that I felt needed to come from me, and I left to allow them to do their own thing, and we've done that plenty of times, and I'm happy with that.
Obviously, with the January window shutting for EFL sides, was keeping the majority of this squad that you've assembled at the start of the season arguably the best bit of January business that you could have done this season, this window? Sorry. I
think that's a great way to look at it. Yeah, I agree. I think with so many players performing at a very high level, it's a huge concern to us that we imagine that we would have to fend off maybe some offers. Particularly, we worried about offers that were not serious, and that giving the player false hope of something that is not really there, but that didn't happen really. I think maybe we had one near miss probably yesterday, but no, I think you're right. I think that can be the best bit of business, is to have not lost some of our really key players.
Thanks, Luke. I promise that's the last one about transfers for a while now. See you on Saturday.
Thank you.
Hi, Luke. How are you? You okay?
Yeah, very well, thanks. And yourself?
Good stuff. Yeah, very well. Thank you. Very well. Not too many for me. Just a few follow-ups, really. As was mentioned, we spoke to Conor Rawlinson a few minutes ago, and he said that when he has been able to train and play, he's really enjoyed developing the technical side of his game. And I was just wondering, from your point of view, how much of an emphasis you put on that with the players, and how much you've seen him develop as a player as well in that aspect.
Well, yeah, I mean, we try to make sure that we, as a group of staff, we get the balance right between how much we put on how we build up with the ball, and then how much focus we put on how we defend effectively. And the truth is, many of the session we try and tie the both in together. So we try to make sure that we pass the ball and we position the players in a particular way to help us to be able to defend quickly and effectively. And when it comes to Connell, I've been hugely impressed from the very beginning. Actually, I must say, from the moment I arrived here, I think he showed a real intent to take on board my ideas, and he's been incredible throughout. Absolutely incredible, brilliant personality, brilliant commitment, and I think. If it's not to the wrong words to choose for a player of Connell's experience, but I feel like he has developed his game, and I hope he feels the same, because I've been very, very impressed.
Great stuff. And on the back of last night, is there any injury news, or is it too early to say on that front?
No, we have very sore bodies. I think that Solihull played a fantastic game against us, and particularly at the top of the pitch. Look at the runs of Dallas, and I think the line it was a combination of our line not being as organised as we've seen very often, so we didn't catch him in an offside position as often as we would expect. But he timed his runs, and he ran with a brilliant purpose, and they gave the ball to him at brilliant timing and so on, and that caused us a lot of pain. Huge recovery runs, and he took a lot of territory off us. I thought in particular he was a standout performer for them. I think he's unfortunate not to score, if I'm honest, as well, because he made such intelligent runs. But that really took a lot out of the players, and there's some sore bodies. So we've had to make sure we try to recover correctly today and rest tomorrow, and get prepared for another tough game on Friday.
Yeah, just how important is striking that balance between, working as hard as you can towards preparing for Torquay, but also giving that players the time to rest, especially with two quite long away trips in such a short period of time.
No, exactly right, and I think every manager will have their own take on it, and everybody has experienced a similar type of schedule, and we have to do what we think is correct and get the balance right. One or two players on the individual type of program, and the bulk of the group on the same program, but that I don't think there's a particularly right or wrong. But of course we've got fantastic staff that have got great experience and knowledge, and they're giving me the expertise and the right, what we believe is the correct way to get the group recovered and then go again and be prepared.
Great stuff. And just a final one, of course, there's still a hell of a lot of football to be played, but last night's result does put you top, and there are quite a few teams in the mix. Are you someone that would rather have the points on the board and be the ones being chased, or would you rather have, say, the games in hand to potentially overtake, but then have that risk that you might not be able to eventually catch up? Where do you stand on that?
Yeah, I think I feel comfortable having the points on the board, and now that it's over to the others to perform really well, and they have to chalk the points up as well. So yeah, it's very, very early really in terms of talking about the end of the season. We're not there, we're not at that stage, but it's a good position to be in. We have to now continue, we have to maintain, because we know the others are very, very strong chance that they're going to do the same.